Hey, what's up, y'all? So excited to be back and making YouTube videos. I've been wanting to do this video on my thoughts on submitting to fashion magazines for a hot minute now, but I am finally doing it. Yay! I'm actually planning on doing more videos more often, kind of just about my life, just vlogging, what it's like being pregnant and working, being a fashion photographer, a music manager, my experience with my pregnancy so far, when Wesley gets here, all that fun stuff. So yeah, stay tuned. So like I said, today's video is going to be about my thoughts on submitting to fashion magazines. So I spent a lot of time in 2019 focusing on submitting to magazines to be featured inside for exposure. I thought that being inside magazines would help grow my business. I thought that the exposure of the people seeing these magazines would not just bring me things locally, but also bring me things nationally, only to find out that that is not at all true. A lot of people push for magazine submissions. They think that magazine submissions are the best thing to do. And I was honestly surprised with everything that I learned. So I'm gonna share that with you guys. Yeah. So I'm gonna give you guys my pros, my cons, all of the things that I feel like I've learned that could be helpful for you so that you don't waste your time learning this. Magazines might be great for you. My experience is definitely just my experience. There are definitely lots of opinions out there. So yeah, here's my pros and cons to submitting to magazines. So I'll start off with the pros, because there definitely are some. I don't want to say that everything with submitting to magazines is bad, because I definitely don't think that. There are some magazines that I still submit to. I'm not fully against submitting to magazines. I still do. I still submit to magazines. However, after you hear my pros and cons, you'll understand why I'm so wary about which ones I do submit to. So the first pro that I have is a lot of makeup artists, a lot of stylists, a lot of designers, they don't want to collaborate unless there is a magazine submission that comes with it. And this just kind of, I guess, ties into the fact that a lot of people think that magazine submissions come with a lot of exposure. Usually teams don't want to work on a photo shoot or on a concept or on something unless there is a reason to put in the effort, rightfully so. Another pro to working with magazines is having tear sheets in your portfolio is really, really nice. So I have a couple of my favorite magazines, tear sheets in my portfolio on my website. And it looks really great to clients coming in that are looking at your portfolio or looking at your website. My final pro for submitting to a magazine is it is really, really nice to create relationships with reputable magazines. So there are a couple of magazines that I have worked with that I have absolutely loved being a part of and have submitted to them several times and have kept a relationship with them. And that's just really nice. These magazines have brought me exposure, you know, the things that when I came into submitting to magazines, you know, I kind of expected or thought would come out of magazines. They actually have happened with these. Not all magazines are good, but it's good to have a relationship with the ones that are. So yeah, now that we've got the good stuff out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and share the cons that I have with you guys. So one of the biggest cons that I think I have had with magazine submissions is some of these magazines charge. I'm a firm believer that when you're creating art, you should never pay for something that you should honestly be paid for. You're paying to be in this magazine. When the magazine does come out, if you even get accepted, if you don't get accepted, you lose your money, and so you pay for nothing. But if you do get accepted, you don't even receive a free copy of this magazine. So these magazines are profiting off of you. You're probably not getting a lot of exposure, if any at all. Like I said before, the magazines that I have gotten exposure with are far and few. Yeah, so you're not getting any exposure. You're not getting paid. You've already paid to be in this magazine, and they're profiting off of your work, which I think is a huge no as an artist. I don't think that it's fair. I don't think that it's right that these magazines are taking your you know, ideas and your hard work and making money off of it. I don't agree with that. My next con, I've kind of mentioned a couple of times in this video already, but the exposure that a lot of people think comes with submitting to magazines is probably not the exposure you're going to get. I've had more success with just posting sets on my Instagram, on my Twitter, on my Facebook than having it inside a magazine. There have been some sets where they're great enough to be submitted to a magazine and could be accepted, and I've just decided to post them on Instagram and received more love for them than I did in a set that I had specifically done for a magazine. My next con kind of goes into the exposure con that I just mentioned, but some magazines that you think you're gonna get exposure in are releasing 5 to 10 sets of that magazine a month. So even if you are released in a magazine that has a high Instagram following, the pictures that they do post do get a lot of exposure, things like that. The likelihood of them posting you is not very likely, and the reason why is because they're oversaturated with content every month. They're accepting so many different artists that they don't even have time to post every single person that's getting accepted into their magazine. And my experience with that is they probably won't. And the only people that are buying your set of that issue are people who are in it, and obviously your team and things like that. Maybe family members, maybe friends, just because they love your work, they want to support you, which at the end of the day, like I said, you're not getting that money anyways. So this magazine is just profiting off of publishing a ton of work. My final con. So this one I don't really have an issue with if it's a good magazine, but some of these magazines will hold your work for months. I once had a magazine hold my images for 3 months when they were originally only supposed to hold it for 1. The release day came and no magazine, no communication. Emailed them several times and they came back twice with 2 different dates. So after they missed the first date, they emailed me after I, asked what was going on a couple of times. They emailed me, gave me another date. That date came, magazine wasn't published, and so I emailed them again and was like, hey, what's going on? No response. A couple of weeks later, they emailed me a new date, and it still wasn't released on that date. It was released 3 days after that date. So sometimes you'll have images that are held for months for a magazine, like I said, that you don't get a lot of exposure from, that's profiting off of you. Yeah, just overall bad experience. So those are my pros and cons. Use them as you wish. Like I said, still submit to magazines, still have magazines that I adore and will continue submitting to, but overall, I don't think that submitting to magazines are worth it. You're better off just publishing your work to your site, publishing it to your Instagram, to your website if your main focus is getting new clients, getting new businesses. The best thing to do is just collaborate with other artists. If these other artists only want to submit to magazines, find the magazine that works best for you. But like I said, everybody is different. You may enjoy submitting to magazines. You may never have a bad experience. I just wanted to put a warning out for those who have no idea what it's like submitting to a magazine and would like to submit to a magazine. If you would like any suggestions on where to start, please feel free to reach out to me, talk to me. So yeah, that is my opinion, and I will see you guys later. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, all of the things that YouTubers are supposed to say. Like I said, I'm gonna be making more videos, not just about fashion stuff, but about life and all of the other things that I do. But yeah, thanks for listening.